Hello. For this video, I wanted to make a quick video and talk about uh, Christianity, why I think it's a valid philosophy and religion, and I'm also gonna spend a few minutes defending Islam, and then I'm gonna do a news headline, a world news headline, and break that down. So I came into Christianity a bit later in life, but I think it's a good philosophy to help people guide themselves in life. So here's, for example, Ephesians 2:3. Be completely humble and gentle. Be patient, bearing with one another in love. And it says here, be completely humble and gentle. And this is also similar to an African prophet who said, St. Moses the Black, who said, you fast, but Satan never eats. You work fervently, but Satan never sleeps. The only dimension you can outperform Satan is by acquiring humility, for Satan has no humility. So he says acquire humility. Here it says be completely humble and gentle. That's the best way to be. Also, there's some passages in the Bible that I think could have prepared people for the COVID stuff. Like, I knew it was a false flag event, but look at Proverbs 29:5. It says, fear of man will prove to be a snare, but whoever trusts in the Lord is kept safe. To me, that means if someone's trying to get you to be afraid of some men, a group of men, some people, and be afraid of them, that's a trap, actually. And another Proverbs is 14:15. The simple believe anything, but the prudent give thought to their steps. So to me, this applies for the COVID mandates as well, because like we had the culture and the authorities saying you should take the vaccine. Turns out it wasn't such a good idea. The Proverbs 14:15, it prepares you for that. It warns you about, it warns you about these COVID policies, not explicitly, but philosophically. Another good biblical passage to prepare us for this life is 1 John 4:1. Dear friends, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to see whether they are from God, because many false prophets have gone out into the world. He says false prophets out in the world. So we're seeing more and more with social media that there's a lot of deception in this world. Current events get spun and, twisted. Even historical events get twisted. And in Corinthians, it also talks about deception out in the world. Corinthians 11:12-15. And I will keep on doing what I am doing in order to cut the ground from under those who want an opportunity to be considered equal with us in the things they boast about. For such men are false apostles, deceitful workmen, masquerading as apostles of Christ. And no wonder, for Satan himself masquerades as an angel of light. It is not surprising, then, if his servants masquerade as servants of righteousness. So this also makes me think of like authority figures who are telling us to do the right thing, and they're just false. They're wrong. They're not prophets, but they're authority figures, like they're leaders in politics and scientists and science. And during the COVID hysteria, they really showed that they're our enemies. They are our enemies. They are not our leaders. And so another passage here, another reason why the Bible is good, Isaiah 1:17. Check this out. Learn to do right, seek justice, defend the oppressed, take up the cause of the fatherless, plead the case of the widow. Isaiah 1:17. So this to me reminds me of Stoicism, Marcus Aurelius philosophy. So again, this is valid from the Bible. So we're going to do one more. Okay, so Ephesians 4:17. So I tell you this and insist on in the Lord. that you must no longer live as the Gentiles do in the futility of their thinking. The Gentiles. They are darkened in their understanding and separated from the life of God because of the ignorance that is in them due to the hardening of their hearts. Having lost all sensitivity, they have given themselves over to sensuality so as to indulge in every kind of impurity with a continual lust for more. What I think that's describing is a culture that's given into hedonism, like sensual gratification. So this goes against Stoicism, and it warns us against having a society that's kind of hedonistic and going for sensual sensuality, rather than principles. It's important as a society and as an individual to live your life according to principles and not through sensual or bodily desires. I think we all kind of know that. We have to deal with temptations and whatnot. So that's all I wanted to talk about. I wanted to share some biblical passages and what they mean to me. And I also wanted to defend Islam today a little bit, because I have some Muslim friends, and sometimes I see something in the media or I hear something and it sounds really creepy, and I bounce it off. Shit. Oh, okay. So you're still recording? All right. So for example, you hear of sometimes a man marrying a 9-year-old girl. So I was told, and this makes sense to me, because to me it makes no sense they're going to exploit the child, because the child's not ready for sex. I mean, he's got other wives, who are of age, right? So the reason is so that they can take custody of the kid. So they can kind of adopt the child into their own family. And yeah, it's a wife, but when she grows up and she's ready for that sort of thing at the appropriate age, then then they could be a wife. So it's not necessarily pedophilia going on. And that's their argument. If you don't believe it, you need to look into it. I believe it. I certainly believe it. I don't think they're having sex with kids if they're true Muslims. And I think a lot of these accusations are unfounded. And there is a culture in Afghanistan that does that, but has to do with the religion. That has to do with the culture. Also, the hijab. Some people say that the women are forced to wear the hijab. Well, the women choose to do that because it's part of their culture, and also protects them from the evil eye. I mean, let's be real. It's a glare. It's being consumed energetically by people are feasting their eyes on you, and I think women. I think they need. I need some sort of protection, because in our society, men glare at women and they're stealing their energy when they do that. All right, circumcision. Now, I see circumcision as a terrible, horrific practice, and it's actually a Jewish custom. And in Canada, I'm in Canada, and they do that a lot. And in Muslim culture, at least the Muslims I know, they have that done to them. And so to me, that shows that the Jewish elders were able to infuse their customs into other cultures and religions, namely Canadian culture and Islamic culture. And even though it's a horrific act and should not be done at all, there's no reason for it. And it shows how the Jewish elders have certain controls, in the world over society. They have certain leverages over society. Okay, and another thing I want to go through for the Islamic culture is a female circumcision. So this is a horrific practice. However, it's not Islamic, it's cultural. It's these retarded villages who still do these practices. So it's not the religion. Okay, and now lastly, I have one more. Imams, the Islamic leaders, calling for genocide of Jews. And this is wrong. But all this means is that it doesn't mean that's the cult, that's the religion. It means, well, you got a bad leader, and we have false religious leaders in Christianity as well. We have false leaders in science as well. So when you see something wrong like that, it's evil. That's all we have to say. We don't have to try to say it's this or that. It's evil and it's bad. It doesn't matter if it's a white person or a brown person doing it. And that takes me to the end of defending Islam. And for the last segment, we're at 10 minutes. I want to do a headline here, a news headline. So this is from Boston.com. And this was from January 14th, 2024. Today's date, by the way, is January 15th, 2024. So this is Boston.com. Author is Gerald Imre. He's talking about South Africa taking Israel to the International Court. Genocide case against Israel. Where does the rest of the world stand on the momentous allegations? Okay, I want to note one spin here. The majority of countries backing South Africa's case are from the Arab world and Africa. In Europe, only the Muslim nation of Turkey has publicly stated its support. So Turkey is known as a secular nation, not a Muslim nation. And also, I don't believe it's just Africa and Arab world supporting South Africa. I think they have much more support than that. So this article, I think right away, is undermining the support that South Africa has worldwide. And it also says no Western country has declared support for South Africa's allegations against Israel. But it also says here that the European Union has not commented. So I think that's a bit unfair, right? Because they haven't said anything yet. So you can't count them as supporting or non-supporting. And it says China and Russia have said little about one of the most momentous cases to come before an international court. So China and Russia haven't commented. So we really can't yet say who's supporting South Africa. And so this article is, I think, written to kind of underplay, the South African case against Israel in the International Court of Justice, the Hague Court. That takes us to the end of the article. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.